Beep. Health points critical, below 10%. I snapped my eyes open to see a beautiful dark-haired girl with a psycho gleam in her eyes pressing a fruit knife to my throat. Talk. Why are you pretending to be my boyfriend? After I finally managed to escape back to reality. She followed me out, knife and all. Found you're not disappearing on me again. Standing at the door to my office, the girl in the red dress gave me a syrupy sweet smile. So now I have a problem. The main character I coded has crossed dimensions to stalk me. What do I do? Help. Need advice ASAP. Warning. Warning. Player health points critical, below 10%. My eyes flew open. I was lying in a fluffy, pink princess bed, the cold, hard steel of a fruit knife pressed against my neck. The one holding it was a gorgeous girl with long, black hair, looking down at me like I was something she'd just scraped off her shoe. Tell me, she cooed, her voice as sweet as honey. Why are you impersonating Ethan? The knife pressed a little deeper into my skin. My brain blue-screened for a solid 3 seconds before the fragmented memories clicked into place. I, Leo Foster, a perpetually exhausted programmer, had been up all night playtesting my new dating sim, Psycho Sweetheart's Redemption. Now, I'd woken up inside my own game. System, get in here. I screamed internally. Ding. Welcome, player Leo Foster, to the world of Psycho Sweetheart's Redemption. A mechanical voice echoed in my head. Your current role is the stand-in boyfriend for the female lead, Evelyn Reed, chosen for your striking resemblance to her old flame, Ethan Cole. I almost coughed up blood. I designed this game. Evelyn is a grade A, top-tier Yandere. Every player who tried to romance her ended up either dead or maimed. And my current situation was the most dangerous plot point in the entire game, the exposed stand-in scenario. Evie, I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. How about we put the knife down? You're wrinkling my new shirt. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, the tip of the blade tracing a slow circle over my Adam's apple. Who gave you permission to call me Evie? You imposter. My back was already soaked in sweat. According to the game's design, any attempt to explain or beg for mercy here would trigger her rampage ending. An idea sparked. I decided to do the exact opposite. Well, shoot, you found me out. I sighed with theatrical exaggeration. The truth is, I'm Ethan's long-lost twin brother, Leo. My brother told me he had an amazing girlfriend named Evie, and I just had to come see for myself. Lies, Evelyn snapped, though the pressure of the knife lessened slightly. Ethan is an only child. That's because we were separated at birth. I went full soap opera, grabbing her wrist. Evie, the moment I saw you, I felt this incredible connection, like I was meeting my sister-in-law. Evelyn just stared, completely thrown. She'd clearly never encountered a player who refused to follow the script. I used her moment of confusion to spring up from the bed, but my left foot caught my right, and I went down in a spectacular faceplant right at her feet. What are you doing? She asked, taking a wary step back. Paying my respects to my sister-in-law. I looked up, flashing a grin with all 32 teeth. It's an old Foster family tradition. An awkward silence filled the room. With my forehead pressed against the plush carpet, I could hear my own heart hammering against my ribs. Puffed. A small snort came from above. I cautiously peeked up and saw Evelyn covering her mouth, her shoulders shaking with laughter. Leo, was it? She put the knife away and nudged my shoulder with the toe of her shoe. You're way more interesting than that block of wood, Ethan. Get up. You're having breakfast with me. I let out a huge sigh of relief and scrambled to my feet. Phase 1 of operation. Stay alive was a success. System, what's my next move? I pleaded internally as I followed Evelyn downstairs. Ding. Main quest. Achieve Evelyn Reed's redemption before Ethan Cole returns from abroad. Reward. Return to the real world. Penalty for failure. Remain trapped in the game forever. My knees buckled, and I nearly tumbled down the staircase. Redeem Yandere? That was like asking a programmer to write 1,000,000 lines of code in 3 days with 0 bugs. In the dining room, Evelyn was already seated gracefully at the table. In front of her was... Wait, what was that black, lumpy thing on the plate? I made you a special breakfast, she said with a sugary smile. Go on, try it. I stared at the charcoal briquette that was supposed to be a pancake, remembering a beta tester who ended up in the ICU after eating her cooking. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Evie, I began, wringing my hands as I sat down. I just remembered another Foster family tradition. A brother can't eat food cooked by his sister-in-law. It brings bad luck. Oh, she tilted her head. What a strange rule. It's true, I said with a dead serious expression. My dad's brother ate a casserole his sister-in-law made, and he broke out in hives the next day. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Leo, you're not trying to say my cooking is bad, are you? Danger. Yandere alert. Thinking fast, I grabbed a fork and stabbed at the blackened mass. Of course not. I'll eat it right now to prove oops. I accidentally flicked my wrist, sending the pancake flying directly onto my shirt. My limited edition Gucci shirt. I leaped up dramatically. This was a birthday present from my brother. I have to go clean it right now. Before she could react, I bolted for the bathroom at a full sprint, locking the door behind me and gasping for air. 5. System, this woman is terrifying. I vented while scrubbing my shirt with a towel. According to the game's parameters, her instability level should be at 75%. How am I supposed to redeem that? Suggestion. The player should leverage his advantage as the creator to find loopholes in the plot. A light bulb went off in my head. Of course, I wrote this game. I know every single hidden event and Easter egg. After composing myself, I returned to the dining room to find Evelyn resting her chin on her hand, watching me. Leo, she said slowly, you're really strange. Every other man is either terrified of me or tries to flatter me. You're the only one who is devastatingly handsome and charming. I finished for her. She rolled her eyes. Is so completely shameless. It's one of my best qualities. I grinned, pulling out a chair. You know, Evie, I think you're actually kind of cute. Goo. Her expression darkened instantly. Ethan used to say that, too. But he still left me to go overseas. Bad move. Triggered a sore spot. I quickly tried to change the subject. That's 'cause he has bad taste. Seriously, Evie, none of those girls over there are as pretty as you. They probably can't even appreciate the deep lore of Game of Thrones. Evelyn stared at me for a second, then let out a laugh. You are genuinely weird. In the days that followed, I developed a new strategy, the reverse psychology romance. When she went psycho, I acted goofy. When her instability spiked, I played dumb. When she pulled a knife, I did the Macarena. It worked surprisingly well. Evelyn's instability level actually dropped from 75% to 60%. 6. A month later, on a weekend, I was playing video games on the couch when Evelyn suddenly wrapped her arms around me from behind. Leo, she mumbled into my back. Ethan's coming home next week. I nearly dropped my controller. According to the game's plot, Ethan's return would expose me as a stand-in. Evelyn would then be torn between us, ultimately choosing to either eliminate me and get back with Ethan, or have a complete psychotic break and eliminate us both. Oh, that's great, I said, trying to sound calm. You've been wanting to see him, right? Her arms tightened, squeezing the air out of my lungs. But I've realized something lately. I don't think I miss him that much anymore. My heart skipped a beat. What was this? This wasn't in the game script. Evie, are you running a fever? I turned and put the back of my hand on her forehead. You're not making any sense. She slapped my hand away, glaring at me. Leo Foster, I'm trying to confess my feelings for you. And that's your reaction? Con confess what? I stammered. Don't you love Ethan? That was before. She stomped her foot. Now I think you're way better than he is. At least you play games with me, you eat the food I make, and you tell stupid jokes when I'm mad. I was dumbfounded. What has happened? Did I accidentally win her over? But I was just trying to survive. Ding! Evelyn Reed's instability level has dropped to 30%. Please continue your efforts, player. The system's prompt snapped me back to reality. I scratched my head, suddenly at a loss. Well, Evie, the thing is Before I could finish, the doorbell rang. Evelyn ran to get it. I heard a smooth, masculine voice say, Evelyn, I'm back. Crap, Ethan was back early. I shot up from the couch, just in time to lock eyes with the tall, handsome man at the door. He was clearly taken aback when he saw me. And who is this? This is Leo, Evelyn said, linking her arm with mine. Your long-lost twin brother. I almost bit my tongue. She actually remembered the ridiculous lie I'd made up on the spot. Ethan looked completely bewildered. What brother? I'm an only child. The silence was thick enough to cut with a knife. I laughed nervously. Haha, well, it's a long story. Ethan, Evelyn said, her tone suddenly serious. Actually, Leo is my boyfriend. I'm sorry, but I'm not in love with you anymore. Both Ethan and I stared at her with wide eyes. Ethan's expression shifted from shock to elation, and then he actually smiled. Looks like a lot happened while I was away. He walked over and clapped me on the shoulder. Treat her well. She's a good girl. Good luck, buddy. You're gonna need it. Me? This was a complete deviation from the original script. Where was the love triangle angst? Where was the psychotic breakdown? That night, Evelyn crept into my bed, hugging a pillow. Leo, I can't sleep. I was as stiff as a board. Evie, I don't think this is a good idea. What are you afraid of? She asked, her big eyes blinking in the dark. It's not like I'm going to eat you. You sure did a number on the last few players, I thought. But strangely, looking at her trusting expression, I felt my resolve soften. Leo, she said in a small voice, I know you're not really Ethan's brother. My whole body tensed. Then why did you? Because you were the first person who ever treated me like a normal person. She rested her head on my shoulder. Everyone else was either scared of me or just placated me. You were the only one who would argue with me, make fun of my terrible cooking, and her voice trailed off, eventually evening out into the soft rhythm of sleep. I looked down at her peaceful face and realized that maybe this Yandere girl wasn't so scary after all. Ding. Evelyn Reed's instability level has dropped to 10%. Redemption quest nearing completion. The system prompt left me with mixed feelings. Completing the quest meant I could go home, but I gently stroked Evelyn's hair, feeling a dull ache somewhere in my chest. A week after Ethan's return, Evelyn's instability level finally hit 5%. Ding! Congratulations, player, on completing the redemption quest. Returning to the real world in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. I was on the couch watching a cheesy soap opera with Evelyn when the countdown started. I grabbed her hand. Evie, I have to tell you something. She turned to me, confused. My real name isn't Leo Foster. It is Leo Foster, but I'm from 3, 2, 1. Teleportation initiated. A flash of white light consumed my vision. The last thing I saw was the look of pure terror on Evelyn's face. Act, I yelled, shooting up from my desk. I was back at my workstation, the test interface for Psycho Sweetheart's Redemption still glowing on my monitor. Foster, napping on the job again, my manager's voice boomed from across the office. Is that patch finished yet? I touched my neck. No naif marks. I looked at my hands. No memory of Evelyn's touch. It all felt like a dream, but I knew it wasn't. Over the next month, I found myself buying 2 coffees in the morning out of habit. My heart would race whenever I saw a girl with long, dark hair. I even started looking for ways to export Evelyn's character data from the game. Then, one night, while I was debugging code late at the office, I heard a soft click behind me. Found you, Leo. The familiar voice made every hair on my body stand on end. I turned around slowly, my body rigid. There, standing in the office doorway, was Evelyn. She was wearing a red dress and smiling that beautiful, terrifying smile. How are you? I couldn't form a complete sentence. I told you, didn't I? She took a step closer. You can't escape me. My legs gave out, and I slid out of my chair on the floor. Evie, be calm. This is the real world. Murder is illegal here. She tilted her head. Who said anything about murder? Then what are you doing here? Chasing you, silly, she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. In the game, you pursued me. Now it's my turn to pursue you. It's only fair, right? My mouth hung open, my brain completely fried. 10 Evelyn knelt to my level, her eyes sparkling. Leo Foster, I love you. Not as a stand-in, not as part of the game's script. I love you. My heart felt like it was going to beat its way out of my chest. What was this? A Yandere crossing dimensions to hunt down her man? You should get up. I stammered, trying to scoot away. We need to talk about. Talk about what? She leaned in, her nose almost touching mine. Talk about how you're going to make up for a month of pining. My back was pressed against my desk. There was nowhere to run. Evelyn's warm breath washed over my face, carrying a familiar sweet scent. Evie, we're at my office. So, she blinked. You were pretty smooth in the game. You're not going to chicken out now, are you? I wanted to cry. This must be what they call karma. The Yandere I created was now my problem to deal with, for real. 11 ding. The elevator chimed, followed by my manager's loud voice. Foster, is that code? My manager pushed the door open and froze, taking in the scene before him. Evelyn stood up gracefully and linked her arm through mine. Good evening, sir. I'm Leo's girlfriend. I'm just here to pick him up from work. My manager's jaw hit the floor. You too. We'll be going now. I grabbed my backpack and dragged Evelyn out of there as fast as I could. The cool night air hit my face as we burst out of the building. I realized my hands were still shaking. Evelyn squeezed my palm. Scared. Of course I'm scared. I hissed. How did you get out of the game? She just smiled mysteriously. That's a secret. But for now, her expression turned serious. Mr. Leo Foster, will you officially be my boyfriend? The real-world kind. Under the streetlight, her eyes looked like they were full of stars. I thought of the girl from the game, the one who had fallen asleep curled up against me, and my heart melted. Do I have a choice? Nope, she said definitively. Then why even ask? I sighed, a reluctant smile spreading across my face. I reached out and ruffled her hair. Come on, girlfriend. Let's go get some tacos. Evelyn cheered and jumped onto my back. I want extra hot sauce. All right. I piggybacked her down the street, a strange thought occurring to me. This wasn't so bad. A Yandere girlfriend was terrifying, but if it was Evelyn, maybe, just maybe, it was also kind of amazing. By the way, she whispered menacingly in my ear, if you ever think about disappearing on me again. I won't. I yelped. I swear. She gave me a satisfied kiss on the cheek. Under the moonlight, our shadows stretched out long behind us. 12, so, seriously, how did you get out of the game? I asked for the dozenth time, cautiously pushing the homemade lunch she'd brought me a little further away. The blackened mass on the plate seemed to be pulsating. I swore I could see a faint green gas rising from it. Evelyn propped her chin on her hand, poking the unidentified object with her fork. Just have one bite. I used the same recipe from a game. Answer my question first. I grabbed her hand as she tried to shove the fork in my mouth. This is a matter of fundamental physics. She pouted, then her eyes lit up. Oh, you have some rice on your lip. Before I could react, she leaned across the table with lightning speed and licked the grain of rice off the corner of my mouth. I froze solid. I could hear gasps from other patrons in the coffee shop. Relatable. I hissed, my face hot enough to fry an egg. We're in public. So what? She blinked innocently. Every part of you belongs to me. I can take a bite whenever I want. I buried my face in my hands. Ever since this girl popped out of my game, my life had been turned upside down. Last week, she showed up at my office. This week, she'd successfully made sure my entire department knew I had a girlfriend who was a little overly affectionate. Seriously, though, I try to get back on track. How did you break the dimensional barrier? It's not scientifically possible. Evelyn gave me a sly grin and pulled a USB drive out her purse. Maybe this has something to do with it. I took the drive and plugged it into my laptop. A wall of code instantly filled the screen. It was a test script I'd written a month ago that had mysteriously vanished. This is my debug patch. How do you have it? The night you fell asleep at your desk, the code started glowing, and then I was here, Evelyn recalled, tilting her head. I think I heard a voice say something like cross-dimensional channel initiated due to intense player emotional feedback. 13, my eyes widened. That script was designed to test the emotional response intensity of game characters. Had I accidentally created a gateway to reality? Wait, a realization dawned on me. Are you saying you were able to come here because of my feelings for you? Evelyn's eyes lit up, and she launched herself across the table and into my lap. Lau, you admit it. You love me. No, I don't. That's not what I said. I fumbled to catch her, knocking my coffee over in the process. She ignored my protests and planted a loud kiss on my cheek. Don't be shy. You were so forward in the game. That was for survival, you lunatic. I cried. This is for survival, too, she whispered, her finger tracing circles on my chest. If you ever change your mind, you know what will happen. A chill ran down my spine. Even though Evelyn's instability level was at 5% in the game, her Yandere tendencies had clearly been imported to the real world, fully intact. Evie, let's make a deal. I proposed carefully. In the real world, can we try to have a real-world relationship? For example, no more knives. She pouted. But that's no fun. Plastic knives, then? Rubber knives? We finally reached an agreement. Evelyn could keep her Yandere personality, but all lethal weapons had to be replaced with harmless props. In exchange, I had to report my location to her hourly, set my phone background to her picture, and never, ever ignore the check-in text she sent every minute. It was a fair trade. 14 on Monday morning, I tiptoed into the office, praying no one would notice the hickey on my neck. Evelyn's brand after she heard I had a meeting with a female project manager. "Morning, Leo," said Kenny, the intern, sidling up to me with a gossipy grin. "Your girlfriend picked you up again on Friday, huh?" I managed a weak laugh. "Hi. She's gorgeous, but also kind of—" Kenny made a throat-slitting gesture. Intense. I was about to defend her when a commotion broke out. I looked up to see Evelyn standing at the entrance, wearing a white sundress and carrying a lunchbox. She looked like a painting, if you ignored the murderous glare she was aiming at the project manager. "Honey," she sang, her heels clicking on the floor as she walked over. "I brought you a homemade lunch." Every eye in the office was on us. I steeled myself and went to meet her. "Evie, what are you doing here? I thought we agreed." "But I missed you," she cooed, shoving the lunchbox into my hands. "Go on, try it. I got up at 6 to make it for you." My hands trembled as I opened the box. Inside was a heart-shaped fried egg and sausages arranged in a smiley face. It actually looked normal. "You didn't poison it this time?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Were you hoping I did?" No, just kidding." I quickly shoveled a large bite into my mouth and froze. The taste, it was like a combination of seawater, maple syrup, and hot sauce that had been left to ferment for a month. "It's delicious." I forced a mangled smile, fighting the urge to vomit. Evelyn patted my head, satisfied. "Good." She leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Is the one in the blue dress the project manager?" My scalp tingled. "Evie, don't do anything crazy. It's just a work meeting." "I know," she chirped, then raised her voice. "Thank you all for taking such good care of my Leo. I'm treating everyone to Korean barbecue tonight, so you all have to come." The office erupted in cheers. Evelyn took the opportunity to whisper in my ear, "I'm going to make sure everyone knows you're mine. That way, no one will get any funny ideas." With a loud kiss on my cheek, she turned and left, leaving me blushing in a sea of my coworkers' hoots and hollers. "Leo," Kenny said, looking at me with a newfound sense of awe, "your girlfriend is really something else." I watched her walk away, a mix of emotions churning inside me. On one hand, her possessiveness was suffocating. On the other hand, being cared for this intensely felt kind of amazing. Oh God, do I have Stockholm Syndrome? You have to delete this romance subplot. That night, Evelyn stood fuming, pointing at the code on my monitor. I was working on a new DLC for Psycho Sweetheart's Redemption that introduced a new romanceable character. "Evie, it's just a game." "I don't care." She snatched the keyboard away. "Am I not enough for you? Why do you need to design other female characters?" I tried to reason with her. "It's a business decision. Players like having multiple options." "And what about this?" She clicked on a line of dialogue. "Your eyes are as beautiful as the stars." You've never said anything that cheesy to me. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That's auto-generated placeholder text. Delete it. Delete it all. She stomped her foot like a child throwing a tantrum. "Or else You'll what?" I couldn't resist teasing her. She suddenly went quiet, her gaze turning dangerous. "I'll go full Yandere on you." Even though I knew she was probably joking, I instinctively took a step back. Seeing my reaction, Evelyn's expression instantly changed from stormy to sunny, and she burst out laughing. "Gotcha. I was just kidding." She skipped off to the kitchen to get a drink, leaving me with my heart still pounding. Sometimes I honestly couldn't tell if she was genuinely psychotic or just messing with me, and that uncertainty was, in itself, a Yandere trait. "Leo," she said, poking her head out of the kitchen, her expression unusually serious. "Are you really sure this is the real world?" I froze. "What do you mean? What if?" She walked slowly towards me. "This is just another level of the game? How can you be sure what's real?" Her question was like a bucket of ice water dumped over my head. She was right. Ever since she'd appeared, I'd had fleeting moments where I questioned the reality of it all. I, I hesitated. Evelyn suddenly reached out and pinched my cheek hard. "Does that hurt?" she asked. "Ow, of course it hurts." "Then it must be real," she said with a grin. "You don't feel pain like that in the game. So this has to be the real world." I rubbed my stinging cheek, suddenly realizing she was trying to comfort me in her own twisted way. A little corner of my heart melted. "Evie," I said softly, "it doesn't matter if this is a game or not. Wherever you are, that's what's real to me." She stared at me, her eyes wide, as a blush crept up her neck and consumed her entire face. You idiot," she stammered, pressing a cold can of soda against my cheek to cool it down. "Saying something like that out of nowhere, that's cheating." Watching her flustered and flailing, I decided I liked this version of Evelyn much more than the knife-wielding Yandere from a game. On Friday night, Evelyn and I had our first major fight. The cause, a college reunion. A female friend posted a group photo to her Instagram story where she and I were standing a little too close. When Evelyn saw it, she exploded. "What does she mean? So good to see you. You look great," she demanded, shoving her phone in my face, her voice trembling. "Leo, what is this?" "It's just polite small talk." I try to explain. "I haven't seen her in 5 years." "Then why were you smiling so happily at her?" "I smile like that at everyone." "You've never smiled at me like that." The argument quickly devolved into a spiral of, "You don't care about me," and "You don't trust me." Finally, Evelyn slammed the door and stormed out, leaving me fuming in the living room. After I cooled down, worry set in. Evelyn didn't know anyone in the city. Where did she have gone so late at night? I grabbed my jacket and ran out, searching the nearby parks and convenience stores. I finally found her sitting on the steps outside a bubble tea shop. She was hugging her knees, looking like a lost little kid. "Evie," I said softly. She looked up. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. She immediately turned her head away. "What do you want?" "I'm sorry," I said, sitting down next to her. "I shouldn't have yelled." She was quiet for a moment before whispering, "I was wrong to. I can't control it." The night wind blew her long hair across her face. I gathered my courage and took her hand. "I know, but you have to learn to trust me, okay?" "I'm scared." Her voice was barely audible. "Every time I think I'm happy, I lose it. It happened with my parents. And now with you." My heart ached. Beneath the Yandere exterior, she was just a girl terrified of being abandoned. "I'm not going anywhere," I said, pulling her into a hug. "I promise." "Liar," she mumbled into my shoulder. "Everyone leaves eventually. Then what will it take to make you believe me?" She thought for a moment, then looked up, her eyes shining. "Let's get married." I nearly choked. What? "If we get married, you can't run away." She grew more excited as she spoke. "I can make you lunch every day, and pick you up from work, and we can have 2 kids. Whoa, hold on." I cut her off. "Isn't that a little fast? So you're saying you won't take responsibility?" Her expression started to shift again. "No, I just mean, maybe we could try living together first." Evelyn squinted at me, judging the sincerity of my offer. Finally, she nodded. "Fine, but you have to give me your credit cards." "Why? That's how it works in the movies," she said, as if it were obvious. "That way you won't have money to go mess around with other girls." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Evie, real life isn't a movie." "I don't care," she whined, tugging on my arm. "Please, please, please." Watching her act like a spoiled kid, I suddenly thought that a life full of this chaos might not be so bad. All right, I surrendered. But on one condition. "What?" "You can get jealous, but no more breaking things and no more threats. We talk things out properly. Deal?" She pouted, considering it, then reluctantly nodded. "Fine, but you have to promise to love me forever." "I promise," I smiled, stroking her hair. 3 months into living together, I discovered Evelyn was secretly documenting my behavioral patterns. "What is this?" I held up the notebook I'd found under her pillow. It was filled with meticulous notes on my daily schedule, eating habits, and even my favorite slang words. Evelyn's face turned beet red as she lunged for it. "Give that back." I held the notebook high above her head. "Wait a second. Are you collecting data so you can turn me into an AI one day?" "You idiot," she stomped her foot. "I was trying to plan an anniversary gift." "Huh?" I froze. She snatched the notebook back, muttering, I wanted to plan a surprise based on your preferences. And you ruined it. My heart went soft. This was the same girl who once held a knife to my throat, and now she was doing behavioral analysis to buy me a present? Evie, I couldn't help but pull her into a hug. You could have just asked me. That's no fun, she mumbled into my chest. I wanted to figure it out myself. Just as we were having a tender moment, the lights in the living room started to flicker. My computer turned on by itself, the screen filling with garbled text. What's going on? I let go of Evelyn and walked toward the computer. The random characters on the screen suddenly rearranged themselves into a single, clear line. System error. Dimensional barrier corruption at 87%. Evelyn and I looked at each other in confusion. Is that a prompt from the game system? I frowned. But how is it showing up in the real world? Evelyn suddenly clutched her head and crumpled to the floor. Now, my head hurts. Evie, I rushed to her side, only to see her body flickering, fading in and out of existence. Ding! Another line of text appeared on the screen. Cross-dimensional entity unstable. Recommend immediate patch to prevent data dissipation. Entity Evelyn Reed will dissipate in 24 hours. The blood drained from my face. Dissipate? Did that mean Evie would disappear? You got to be kidding me. I yelled at the screen. How do I fix it? Requires simultaneous code modification in both game world and real world interface. Evelyn weakly grabbed my hand. Now, am I going to die? Don't say that. My voice trembled as I scrambled to open my programming software. I'm not going to let you disappear. 18 for the next 12 hours. I typed so furiously I thought the keyboard would catch fire, trying to find a way to stabilize the gateway between our worlds. Evelyn's condition fluctuated. One moment she was fine, the next she would glitch like a lagging video game character. Found it. At 3 in the morning, I finally located the root of the problem. The very code that had allowed her to cross over was endlessly replicating itself, eating away at the boundary between worlds. Can you fix it? Evelyn whispered, her head resting on my shoulder. I swallowed hard. Theoretically, yes, but it requires someone on the game side to execute a termination protocol at the same time. I'll do it, she said without hesitation. No. I spun around, grabbing her shoulders. What if you can't get back? She gave me a faint smile. It's better than both worlds collapsing, right? I opened my mouth, but I couldn't argue. She was right. If the barrier collapsed, it wouldn't just be her who was erased. There's another way, I said, taking a deep breath. I'll go in. You stay here and run the code. Evelyn shook her head. The game world is my home turf. I know it better than you do. Besides, she paused. The termination protocol requires the highest level of administrative privileges. Only I can do it. I knew she was telling the truth. As the game's female lead, she had root access. But that meant putting her life in the hands of fate. Leo, she said, cupping my face in her hands. If I don't make it back, you have to remember. Shut up. I cut her off harshly. That's not an option. Listen to me. I'm going to build a stable, temporary bridge. You have exactly 1 hour to get back through it. Understand? She blinked, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. So bossy. In the old days, I would have pulled a knife on you for that. A lump formed in my throat. I pulled her into a tight hug. Evie, you have to come back. I know, she whispered, kissing my forehead. And when I do, you have to marry me. Before I could answer, her body dissolved into a stream of light and was pulled into the computer screen. I immediately started a timer and began coding like my life depended on it. An hour later, the bridge was stable. But Evelyn didn't come back. 2 hours. The corruption level on the screen rose to 92%. 3 hours. My fingers were bleeding, and my eyes were so sore I could barely see the code. Evie, I stared at the static screen, my throat tight. Please. Just as the corruption level hit 95%, the monitor exploded with a blinding white light. I squeezed my eyes shut. When I opened them again, Evelyn was standing in front of me, perfectly solid and whole. I'm back, she chirped, holding up a USB drive. I not only terminated the protocol, but I also made a full backup of the game world. My legs gave out, and I fell to my knees, tears finally streaming down my face. Do you have any idea how worried I was? She knelt and hugged me. I am sorry, but I have good news and bad news. Which do you want first? The good news. The game world is stable, and I can travel freely between both worlds now. And the bad news? She winked. The bad news is, she pulled a coil of rope from behind her back. You have to keep your promise and marry me. Before I could process what was happening, she had tied me securely to my office chair. Evelyn, this is kidnapping. Wrong, she said, turning on the projector. This is a Yandere-style marriage proposal. A video she had made began to play on the screen, a montage of our moments from our first meeting in the game to our life together in the real world. It ended with a single line of text. Leo Foster, will you marry me? If you say no, you're never getting out of this chair. I watched, laughing and crying, as she got down on one knee and held up a ring box. Inside was a ring shaped like a tiny ornate dagger. Is that? I designed it myself. Her eyes shone. The blade is a clasp. It opens up to reveal the diamond. In that moment, I knew exactly what happiness was. This terrifying, beautiful girl was proposing to me in the most perfectly unhinged way possible. Evie, my voice was choked with emotion. You have to untie me first. Answer the question, she insisted, holding out the ring. I smiled through my tears. Yes, 100 times yes. She cheered and threw herself at me, nearly knocking the chair over. After she untied me, I held her so tightly I thought our bones might fuse. Wait, I remembered something. How did you stabilize the two worlds? Evelyn smiled mysteriously, because I realized the real link between them wasn't code. What was it? This, she said, gently poking my chest, right over my heart. It was you loving me. 26 months later, we had a wedding unlike any other, half in the real world, half in the game world. In a real-world church, Evelyn wore a custom white gown with a retractable plastic knife hidden in the folds of her skirt, our compromise. I wore a suit with binary code printed on the fabric, my palms sweating. The couple will now exchange rings, the officiant said with a smile. Evelyn presented the dagger ring, and I took out a ring shaped like a tiny USB drive. What's this? She asked. It has all the code I ever wrote for you, I explained softly, including the game that brought us together. Her eyes welled up. Cheater, she mumbled. I was supposed to be the crazy one today. Just as I was about to put the ring on her finger, the church began to shake, and our guests cried out in alarm. Even stranger, characters from a game began to appear among the pews, including Ethan. What's happening? I shielded Evelyn. Warning, emotional feedback overload. Dimensional barrier temporarily open. The system text floated in the air above the altar. Evelyn, however, clapped her hands in delight. This is great. Now our friends from both worlds can come to the wedding. Me. And so, our wedding became the most chaotic, heartwarming, cross-dimensional party in history. My parents chatted happily with Evelyn's parents. She insisted on giving their date a physical form. And Ethan even hit it off with my old college roommate. Leo, Evelyn whispered in my ear as we cut the cake. I have a secret to tell you. Yeah. For the first time, she looked shy. I think I'm pregnant. The cake knife clattered to the floor. What? But you're a game character. How is that scientifically possible? She patted her flat stomach smugly. Love isn't scientific. 9 months later, our daughter was born. The most incredible thing was that she seemed to be able to perceive the game world from birth. She would often babble at thin air, as if playing with invisible friends. Looks like she inherited her mom's abilities, I said, bouncing our daughter in my arms. Think she'll grow up to be a little Yandere, too? Evelyn gently kissed our daughter's forehead. It's okay. Her dad is an expert at handling Yanderes. I looked at the tiny life in my arms, then at my smiling wife, and I knew that stumbling into that game had been the luckiest bug of my entire life. And the epilogue. One day, our daughter vanished from her crib. Just as we started to panic, she reappeared, giggling and clutching a glowing item from the game world. Leo Foster. Evelyn grabbed my ear. Did you secretly write code for our daughter? I'm innocent. It has to be genetic. Humph. If our daughter turns into a Yandere, it's all your fault. Looks like our cross-dimensional life is going to stay interesting.